Parshas Ki Savo Tavshin Ayin Daled. You know, I've mentioned a couple of times that now since Baruch Hashem we're well into our 5th year, actually almost finished our 5th year of Southside Shiurim. So I like to go back and see what we said the past couple of years on the Parsha. And I look back, we actually have 4 years online already, 4 recordings of Shiurim on Parshas Ki Savo. And each of the 4 Shiurim begins the same way. Either I say a week and a half before Rosh Hashanah, 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah, 2.5 weeks before Rosh Hashanah, but I start the same way each time. And each time I clicked in, it said 2 weeks to Rosh Hashanah, 2 weeks to Rosh Hashanah. I'm wondering, where in the world did all these Rosh Hashanah goes? We've had so many plans, and we always think how much we want to accomplish on Rosh Hashanah, for Rosh Hashanah, for the year. And there I saw myself saying 4 times, 2 weeks to Rosh Hashanah, 2 weeks. I said, what happened to Rosh Hashanah before that? So this year, I'm saying now, 2 weeks to Rosh Hashanah, and we're focused on Rosh Hashanah. We're actually going to try to accomplish, and of course accomplish, for the next year too. So the Mefarshim say, on the Pasuk, at the beginning of this week's Parsha, where we're discussing the Parsha, the Inyan of Bikurim, the Pasuk says, V'lokachta mereshis kol peri ha'adama. Take from the first of the peri ha'adama, of your produce, take that, right? Take that rachis. And the Mefarshim tell us that the rachis over here means top grade. You bring from the best that you have, the very, very best of your fruit. And it comes to teach us, say Mefarshim, that Bikurim is only brought from the Shivas Haminim of Eretz Yisrael. Since it says, bring your very best, and what is the very best? The very best is the Shivas Haminim. So the question is, why didn't the Pasuk just say, V'lo kachta mishavach peri ha'adama? Take from the best. Take from the best that you have. Why does the Pasuk use a lashon of rachis, the first? Why not, if we're so focused on it being the most chashuv, and like the Shivas Haminim, say shvach. Don't say rachis, the first one. So the Medrash in Bereshis Rabbah tells us something very, very interesting, and this we have mentioned in one of these shiurim in the past few years. The Medrash tells us that the schus mitzvahs bikurim, in the schus of the mitzvah of bikurim, nivra ha'olam. The world was created in the schus of mitzvahs bikurim. And we learned it from the Pasuk, says the Medrash. Pasuk coming up in a few weeks, believe it or not, Bereshis bara elikim, right? We say a lashon of rachis, ein rachis ela bikurim. So we darshan Bereshis bara elikim, in the schus of that which is called rachis, bara elikim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. So in other words, it's a tremendous, tremendous thing, this mitzvah of bikurim. And we see also the Pasuk tells us, Reishis bikurei ad mosachla. The Reishis, you see a lashon of Reishis, bikurei ad mosachla, tavi beis Hashem alekecha. We bring the first Reishis to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for bikurim. So really, let me ask you, what is so special? What is the tremendous milah of this mitzvah of bikurim that the entire bria was created in its chus? What's so tremendous about it? It would seem to me that it's such a simple and easy mitzvah. I mean, what do you have to do? You go to your produce, you pick off some of your priya adama, and that's it. All you have to do is go pick it and then bring it. What is so special, so amazing about the mitzvah of bikurim, that in the schus of bikurim, and it's got to be something great that the world was created in that schus. So Nesivos Shalom tells us a very, very interesting thing. Nesivos Shalom brings from a sefer told us Yaakov Yosef, who asks the following, and this is a theme that we've spoken about many times with Nesivos Shalom. The Torah we know is nitzchias. The Torah, whatever it says in the Torah, applied then and applies now. There's no such thing as something which doesn't apply now. So now that unfortunately we still do not have a Beis HaMikdash, where do we have the nitzchias of the mitzvah of Bikurim? So says in the Nesivos Shalom an extremely, extremely important point. He says that the mitzvah and idea of Bikurim, v'lokachta mereishis kol peri adama, take from the first of your produce, that encompasses every single thing in a person's life. That the first and best thing in your life, not just the fruit that you pick off the tree, the first and best things in your life, you should dedicate to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the nitzchias. That's what we take from Bikurim, and we continue, and of course it applies to our life today. All of your senses, and all of your possessions, and anything that you have, the first is what you bring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You dedicate your first and your best to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So actually, we see from here that the whole Torah, the entire Torah, revolves around this mitzvah of Bikurim. He says something very, very interesting. Imagine you have a number, right? And you have a bunch of zeros. You have 1 0. What happens if you add another 0? What do you have? You still have 0. We all know that, right? Even if you didn't pass your math regions, you didn't pass high school math, college math, we all know 0 is 0, 2 zeros is still 0, and this can continue on. 4, 5, 6, up. You have zeros. The sum is still 0. But what happens if you take a 1? You take a 1 and put it in front of all those zeros. We understand that that number has now become a very, very great number. Of course, right? Everybody, we think of it in terms of dollars, right? 0, put a 1 in front of it, you have a million, billion, trillion dollars, right? All of a sudden it's worth a lot. So all you have to do is add a 1 to make everything worth that much more. And the same thing says in the Nesivos Shalom applies to your life. If you just have things, if you just have talents, if you just have possessions, if you just have your senses, really, technically, they're all 0 if you're not doing the right thing with it. But if you take the 1, you take HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you take God and you put Him, that 1, in front of all those zeros, then look what you're doing to that number. You're making it a very great number. You're raising the level of everything in your life exponentially. The number goes up to a tremendous, tremendous number. You change the entire equation and the entire sum. The tachlis of this world we know is Shehakol Bara L'Chvoidai. Everything was created for the kavod, for the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we should know that everything that we do is for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if that's difficult for us, says the Nesivos Shalom, he has an idea, he has an eitzah. Sometimes it's very difficult to know everything we do from morning to night, everything in our life, that everything should be dedicated to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He said, but if that's difficult, says the Nesivos Shalom, you know what you need to do? You need to begin by making the haschala for Hashem. The beginning. Just say, I'm going to start off, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to use for Hashem. The beginning of everything has a lot of significance. And once you teach yourself to begin each thing to do it for Hashem, then somehow the remainder will continue. The remainder will follow. It'll fall into place. You need to find a place for HaKadosh Baruch Hu in everything that you do, but it starts with the beginning. Have in mind when you start anything in your life that you're doing it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now we can begin to understand the medrash that we mentioned. The medrash says, "B'schus mitzvahs bikurim nivra ha'olam," that in the schus of bikurim the world was created. And we asked, what is so great about the mitzvah bikurim? You know why? Because this great thing is also not only said about bikurim. If you look in the Mefarshim, it's also said about challah, and it's said about meiser. It's said about all the things that have a lashon of reishis, and that the Torah uses a lashon of reishis. The world was created. Why is it so chashuv? The world was created for this purpose that we were mentioning now, that the Nesivos Shalom is talking about. The purpose of having all your beginnings be for the kavod of Hashem. So it's taka, reishis, it's a tremendous thing. Now we can understand why in the schus of that, when you dedicate the first thing the schus of that, getting off on the right foot, the schus that, the world was created. And it's something that we need to internalize and try to incorporate into our lives. When you begin something, when you begin anything, think to yourself that you're doing it for the kavod, you're doing it for the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now we can also answer and understand what the Pasuk said at the beginning of the Parsha. We asked, why is it a lashon of rashis? Why a lashon of first? V'lokachta merashis. Why? Why don't we say mishvach? Talking about things which are mishubach. Talk about things which are quality-wise. Talk about things that are the best. Why rashis? Because now we can understand. Because the neshama and the whole point of the mitzvah of Bikurim is the part of rashis. That's what the mitzvah of Bikurim is defined by, stressing the beginning. Therefore, the Pasuk says, "V'lokachta mirashis." The beginning of doing things for Hashem leads to all these other chashava halachas of Bikurim, such as Bikurim has to be brought. Roivam, it's brought with a lot of people where everybody brought it together. Also, Bikurim has to be brought when a person is besimcha. There's halachi yachdu besimcha. All these things follow rashis. By doing the rashis, all the kavod that we know is given to those who are the mevi'ei Bikurim, the people who bring the Bikurim. And this is the inyan of the rashis of the mitzvah. The rashis of this mitzvah of Bikurim is the most chashuv part of the mitzvah of Bikurim. And it's a lesson that's extremely chashuv. It's a lesson that we have to know about this mitzvah, about beginning everything, dedicating it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I just want to end off, Ad Kan now, the Nesivos Shalom. This is what the Nesivos Shalom says in this piece on Parshas Savo. And I was thinking to myself, I said, what better time to discuss about beginning and dedicating a beginning than right before Rosh Hashanah. So now we're at the end of the year. In Elul, we're thinking what we did in the past year, and it's time to do tshuva and to put our life back into order. But you know, this isn't something you're not supposed to do when it comes to Rosh Hashanah. You're supposed to get everything in order now during Elul before Rosh Hashanah. When it comes to Rosh Hashanah, we need to plan for the future. We need to be mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, I'm going to be different next year. And what is Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is the beginning. And it's telling us from this week's Parsha, from this Nesivos Shalom that we learned here, how chashuv the beginning is. When you dedicate your beginning, you're making a statement about the entire thing. So a person, it's hard, maybe hard to say, we try to make small Kabbalahs for Rosh Hashanah. Maybe it's hard to say sometimes, I'm going to do everything for 354 days the next year. It might be a little difficult. You know what? I'm going to start off the next year. I'm not going to speak Lashon Hara. I'm going to start. I'm going to make the beginning. I'm going to dedicate that to Hashem. I'm going to get up in the morning. Might be hard. Kavona, Shachris, Mincha, Ma'ariv, 19 brachas each time. Not to, you know what? I'm not going to look at my cell phone when I'm in shul. Small dedication. A dedication to Hashem. I'm going to start the year being nicer to people. I'm going to start the year doing chesed. I'm going to start the year learning a little bit in the morning. You start that, you get the siyata d'shmaya. Let's hope we can internalize this lesson. And let's hope, Emir Tashem, we're going to begin Tachel Shanu Berchesel. Start off the year, but it's up to you. You have to start it off right. Remember the lesson that we learned from Bikurim, Rashis. The beginning is what defines everything else that we have to do. And Shataka be a schus for us. And let's not forget about this lesson. Let's not just go back to the last 4 shiurim and keep clicking on YouTube or FrumTube, wherever our shiur is. Another Rosh Hashanah, another Rosh Hashanah, another Rosh Hashanah. By next Rosh Hashanah, we should talk to be different people because we remembered how to treat the beginning.